Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Today I'm going to review Lake Atitlan. Now, a supporter of our channel sent me this lovely fruit here weighing in at 1 3/4 pounds, along with this beautiful cutting here of Lake Atitlan. So 13-year-old plant. Some really nice sized fruit here. And you can see that the oldest source I could find is Matt's Landscape, and he described it as a Guatemalensis hybrid and reviewed the fruit as just being okay. Now, Spicy Exotics, on the other hand, says that this is a sterile variety and calls it a Hyloceus polyrhizis, and said it's sweet and tangy and can Brix up to 18. So I'm not sure if it's self-fertile or self-sterile. The person that sent this to me says that it's self-fertile. But either way, that's a lovely, gorgeous, large fruit. Look at that. So I'm really excited to try it. And the story goes that this plant was collected. Excuse me. This plant was collected in the Guatemalan highlands near the lake. So I like that story. I'd like to learn more about it someday. Right off the bat, it's a lot like Spicy Exotics. It describes as kind of a tangy but sweet flavor. Very enjoyable. One of the better red flesh varieties that I've had. So, let's see how sweet it is. Nice texture. The fruit has a very nice texture. Skin's gotten a little bit thin though, so for commercial potential that would be a negative aspect. See how thin the skin is right there? Wow, it Brixes at a 19 8/10. So that's sweeter than 18. So with a mature plant, your Lake Atitlan will get nice and sweet. And I would describe this flavor, wow, it's really nice. I would describe this flavor as kind of like mixed berries, strawberries, raspberries, boysenberries, with maybe a little bit of sugar added to them. But a little bit of that tartness from a raspberry kind of flavor. Seeds are very enjoyable. Zero earthiness detected. And just a delicious fruit all around. Wow. Especially if this plant is self-fertile. You can see there's conflicting data. So I'm not sure about that. If it's self-fertile, this is a winner. Keep hearing people talk about Lake Atitlan being a good flavored fruit, and I see why. I really like this fruit. In my humble opinion, a rating system, I would give this a 9. Very, very delicious fruit. Really enjoyable, really large plant. It's nice and green, thick, stout, has some spines. So wow, Lake Atitlan. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul, and today I'm going to compare Paul Thompson's 7S with his 8S, which was renamed Sugar Dragon and Arizona Purple over the years. Now you can see here in Paul's book that he describes 7S as being lost in a frost, but not before he shared it with his fellow California rare fruit growers. Now you can see the differences. Look at 7S, the flower has some slight different variations compared to 8S, the flower on 8S. You can see that they are different. Flower buds are slightly more yellow on 7S as well. So let's go ahead, let's cut these open and give them a taste. Now this is Sugar Dragon that I know so well. Look at that, beautiful colored fruit. Now, let's see how it compares to its sister seedling, the rare 7S. And 7S looks slightly lighter in color. Look at that. Now, it could be due to maybe I picked it a little early. I definitely think that this will get darker in time, but this is the first fruit off of 7S. So, let's go ahead and give them a taste. Really sweet. We'll bricks up into the higher 20s. And this one is definitely sweet in my opinion so far. So let's go ahead and taste it, or bricks it I should say, just to get a nice sample to understand what type of fruit we're dealing with here. But it does taste really, really sweet. I like Sugar Dragon a lot. It does have a mild, I hate to dare I say soapy taste in my, according to my palate, but not in a bad way, if that makes any sense. I really like it. It's almost 20, as you can see, but maybe I should retract that statement. But in a good way, it just reminds me of a slight soapy flavor. I mean, that's really bad to say, but I mean it in the nicest way. I really like Sugar Dragon. It's got this really unique flavor. It's nice and small. It's a perfect size. All right, the moment I've been waiting for. I'm really excited to try my first 7S. It's not as sweet. Definitely picked it a little early, but it also tastes a little bit more mushy. I definitely prefer Sugar Dragon, which probably makes sense why over the years 7S was so uncommon, hard to find. Probably because 8S tastes better. It's good, it's just more bland. Sugar Dragon is a 9 or a 10 in my book. I love Sugar Dragon. #1 plant you should start growing if you're new to dragon fruit. Self-fertile, you'll get fruit. It's the first to bloom, but also one of the last plants to bloom too. And it's excellent pollen source. Man, I love Sugar Dragon. And 7S is good, don't get me wrong. Very similar, but the texture is more mushy on this fruit and not quite as dynamic. It's just layers of flavors and depths with Sugar Dragon. And I don't know, I shouldn't say soapy, but it has this finish, this taste at the end. It just is clean and sweet. I like it a lot. Can't beat a Sugar Dragon. So there you go. 7S versus 8S. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit growers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Today I'm going to review Hoang Red, and it's weighing in at 1 42/100 of a pound. You can see it's a beautiful Guatemalan style fruit. Now, I got this from the late Leo manual, and you can see here that it was actually mixed in with Quang Ong Self-Fertile, so 2 varieties in 1 pot, and it was a monstrous plant. Now you can see here that it has flowered and produced this 1 fruit, and the stigma was longer than the American Beauty I have, so I found that interesting. And now we have this beautiful fruit here. So let's give it a taste, and let's see the sugar content. Now I expect it to probably darken up. It's been cold, it's the middle of November, and so some of the fruit has not turned color quite the same as usual due to the colder temperatures. So let's see how that affected the flavor of this fruit as well as the sugar content. But it is a really pretty fruit. but it is whiter than usual. I would assume it's going to be more of a magenta next season. But it is a beautiful, nice, round-looking fruit. Slightly, a little oblong, so not perfectly round. And you can see one of the seeds has started to sprout, so it's definitely ripe. So let's see how sweet it is. So 17 and 2/10, definitely respectable, and I know it will get higher next season. Again, we kind of went straight from summer to winter. It's been quite cold, and we actually got quite a bit of rain here in Southern California. But it has not affected the flavor of this fruit. Really delicious. Sweet, with some tartness at the end, which I really like. It's not just a bunch of sugar. Lots of complex flavors in this. Berries. Smooth texture, similar to other Guatemalans. The specific fruit reminds me of American Beauty, but a bit more tart. Really good, enjoyable fruit. But it's not that much different compared to other Guatemalans so far. Nice texture. The fruit's nice and dense. Really juicy. Definitely a keeper in my experience so far. You can see the skin is nice and thick, so I actually could have kept it on the plant longer and it would have been sweeter in time. Probably picked this a little early, but this time of year, the fruit takes forever to ripen in Southern California as we get into the 40s in the nighttime. Wow. Definitely would give this like an 8 out of 10. It's going to do better next season. Guarantee it. And I can't wait to continue to grow this. So that is Hoang Red. And that's all I know about it so far. Beautiful fruit. Nice Guatemalan style. Lots of complex flavors. Sweet and tart. Great combination. Seeds are not earthy. Overall, a great fruit. So that is Hoang Red. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Today I'm reviewing San Ignacio, and as you can see, it's one of the 20 varieties that the university had researched for commercial potential. Now, it was brought up from Nicaragua, along with similar plants, which are Caslao, Sabra, Lisa, Rosa, or Ahona off the top of my head. And you can see it does produce those nice sized fruit, about 1.5 pounds. Beautiful red fleshed fruit. Now here's what the flower buds look like as they develop. Really pretty, large flower. And when that flower opens up, you can see it's a very large bloom. It is self-sterile, so it requires a cross-pollination. So let's go ahead and cut these open and see if one is sweeter than the other and see how they taste. Now, I did use 2 different pollen sources most likely because I cross-pollinate and I mix up my pollen. So, as you can see here, they're very nice red fleshed fruit. And they tend to be a bit more dense and quite sweet with a berry flavor in my experience. So let's go ahead and give them a measurement. Let's see how sweet they are. Using the Brix refractometer. Now they will get up into the 18s, possibly higher. And they do have slightly different tastes in my experience. The last time I had a San Ignacio, it reminded me of smushed strawberries. It's very enjoyable. That one's 16 5/10, which is definitely a typical score for most of the red fleshed varieties, but they can get even higher. Now, people have reported George's red getting up into the 20s, so some red flesh varieties will get even sweeter into the 20s. But again, this score is just to kind of give not a grade, but just to show the potential for how sweet these fruits can get from these plants. So these are from the same plant, but again, different pollen sources. So let's see if this one's any sweeter. A little less sweet. So that's interesting. All right, I'm gonna go for the sweeter one first. And let's see how it tastes. Yep, just like I remember, more of a smashed strawberry vibe. Strawberries mixed with raspberries. Has some nice tartness to it. Wow. These are some of my favorite red flesh varieties. And I prefer them more than, say, Red Jaina, or some of the ones I would call more of a polyrhizis. The texture of the fruit is much more firm than most varieties. Similar to Ocamponus in the firmness, but these taste way better than Ocamponus in my opinion. Now this fruit will make your urine reddish tinted, a tint. So don't worry, don't be afraid if that happens to you. Now if you grow Sabra, Lisa, Rosa, these are all generally pretty similar in taste and texture and flavor in my opinion. But San Ignacio just, again, has more of a strawberry vibe, which is why I like it so much. I would give these fruit a solid 8 out of 10, despite not being as sweet as they could potentially get. So this is San Ignacio, beautiful red fleshed fruit, red skin, self-sterile, native from Nicaragua. Just delicious. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Today I'm going to review Physical Grafiti, and I have it from two sources. You can see Leo Manual's weighs in at 95 hundredths of a pound, and Elk Creek Dragon Fruit, Linda's, weighs in at 84 hundredths of a pound. So Leo's is slightly larger. Now, historically, this is Paul Thompson's 1-S, and it's one of the most popular commercial varieties in Southern California. So this is a prolific producer, they say, and it's a delicious flavored fruit. So you can see here, they look very much alike. I would consider them the same. You can see that Physical Grafiti has this unique kind of a lighter color, magenta, as the telltale sign. And it looks like this one is picked perfectly, Leo's, while Linda's looks like I picked it a little late. So let's go ahead and check the sweetness of these and give them a proper review. Now, I really like Physical Grafiti. I've had it before, and this is the first time I've had Leo's plant because I brought it home this summer after he passed away, sadly, and I bought his collection. I've had Linda's now for a few seasons. So Leo's is brixing at 17 4/10, which is respectable. Let's see how Linda's does. Now it will brix into the 20s. It's a delicious fruit. Probably Paul Thompson's most preferred varieties are Physical Grafiti, Purple Haze, and Dark Star. So this is 1S Physical Grafiti. 5S is Purple Haze, and 9S is Dark Star. So you can see these fruit are not quite as sweet as they can potentially get, but anything above 14 or 15 usually produces a nice flavored fruit in my experience. So let's compare these two. Tastes very similar to last season, although it's not quite as sweet, but it's actually really well balanced. It has a nice tartness to it. A lot of people describe Paul Thompson's hybrids as a grape-like texture, and I would agree with that. Really delicious. You can see I just can't stop eating it. The seeds are small, crunchy, enjoyable. It's got a nice flavor to it. Zero earthiness detected. All right, let's try Leo's Physical Graffiti. Now in Leo's collection, he had Physical Graffiti and he has 1-S, but I don't have a fruit from 1-S this season to compare it to these. Hopefully next season. Wow, Leo's tastes much better. That's interesting. Perhaps because it was perfectly ripe? Oh my gosh, this is a delicious fruit. Night and day difference. It's kind of interesting how fruit to fruit you can get really different flavors. Although generally Physical Graffiti is consistently flavorful. But man, this one is just delicious. It's like comparing the other one, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, and this one I'd give like a 9 out of 10, even though it's the same variety. Yes, this is just one of the most delicious fruit. If somebody's first experience with dragon fruit, they try this Physical Graffiti, it would just be so wonderful for them. They would be really blown away with how amazing some of these hybrids taste. Wow. That was easily one of the best fruit I've had this season. Utterly delicious Physical Graffiti. Highly recommend it. Again, this is one of the most popular commercial varieties grown in Southern California, mainly because it tolerates sun pretty well compared to its sister seedlings. And they say it's more prolific, so it will be a more prolific producer. That is just a gorgeous fruit. So there you go, Physical Graffiti from Leo Manuel and Elk Creek Dragon Fruit. Both taste very similar, but this one is definitely one of my favorite fruit of the season. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Now, this is an unknown variety that I collected at Elk Creek Dragon Fruit Farm, and I labeled it Elk Creek Unknown Number 1. Now, I really like it. It's a magenta flesh fruit, and you can see that it has these really long, unique bracts. And I find it really interesting. I hope to find out more of the history on this plant someday in the future. Now, you can see the large fruit here weighed in at 94 hundredths of a pound, and it actually bricksed at 19 3/10. Now, bricks isn't everything, I agree, but it is a good indicator about sweetness, and it's a score, a rating, a percentage that helps us understand the potential for sweetness, in my opinion. Now, you can see there are some differences, possibly due to pollen source. They look a little bit different here. This one reminds me of K1 undatus, the outside a bit, and the bracts are more firm versus these being more soft and flexible. So possible different pollen sources may have affected that, but either way, these are great, delicious fruit. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Now, the one drawback I could think about this variety is that it does break down in the heat waves. So when we had our heat wave, I had to toss a bunch of the fruit because it turned gelatinous. Oh man, that's great. It's really sweet. And you can see it's kind of broken down a little bit here. So that's one problem with this variety. But it also puts on this late season flush, and I get a bunch of these beautiful fruit in the fall. So this is October 30th today. And you can see just these sweet, delicious fruit. Nice and complex. This is definitely a hybrid, possibly maybe of like a Guatemalan and a Datus. I'm not sure. I may never know. But I really, really like this variety a lot. Now the second fruit here, you can see it bricksed at 18 5/10. So not quite as sweet. Let's see how it compares to this other one. Wow, much different flavor between these two fruit off of the same plant. And the sweeter one tastes really, really sweet. And this one reminds me a bit of American Beauty. Really good. But I do personally prefer the sweeter one. So really beautiful colored flesh. I wish I knew what variety this was. But Elk Creek Dragon Fruit Farm is a really important farm historically because most of the varieties that are grown commercially in the farms in Southern California source their plant material from this farm. And over the years, they were given many different hybrids and unique plants. So I've collected several. And sadly, most of those plants are dead now because the owner has retired and the plants didn't get much care. I did rescue a few though, like an Asunta too. But going back to this lovely plant, I've given away a few cuttings because I like it so much and I want other people to try it. But just be careful. This plant starts to break down once we get in the upper 90s. So if you live in an area prone to heat waves over 100, be careful growing this, in my humble opinion, because again, the flesh really breaks down. But man, when this fruit's ripe like this, I have personally given it a 9 out of 10. I think it's absolutely delicious. I think it's pretty, really sweet, and just a very unique variety overall. So there you go. This is the Elk Creek Unknown #1. Beautiful variety. Greetings, fellow dragon fruit lovers. This is Paul with another dragon fruit review. Today I'm reviewing Donovan's Laverne Red. It's weighing in at 1 7/10 pounds. Look at that. It's the first fruit off of the plant, and I got it from Donovan himself at the Pitahaya Festival back in 2019. Really gorgeous looking fruit, and they've been reported to grow over 3 pounds. So I'm really excited to taste this one. You can see what it looks like on the plant. And it's very unique. The branches kind of twist. It reminds me of a bit of a Guatemalan hybrid. And Laverne Nursery is notorious for growing from seed, or they used to. So there's a lot of variability between the Laverne Reds. Now here's what the flower bud looked like, as you can see. And I don't have a picture of the flower handy. I'm sorry, but it's been reported to be self-sterile. So let's go ahead and cut this open and give it a taste. Wow, look at that beautiful flesh. Beautiful purple, as you can see. Really stunning fruit. Now, this has commercial potential, and I believe some of the farms in San Diego, or California, I should say, grow this commercially. So before I taste it, let's see the sugar content. Let's measure the bricks. Wow, it looks really juicy. Wonder why they almost should call it Laverne Magenta. It's not really red. It's definitely color kind of like purple haze or dark star. Very beautiful fruit. I love the shape of it and the size too. Really large. Now these plants will produce better fruit in time. This is the first fruit off of it, and it produced 2 this season. And 17 4/10 is very respectable for its first fruit. Now I guarantee you it's gonna be higher in time. Let's give this a taste. Let's see the flavor and the texture. Wow. It reminds me a bit of Paul Thompson's hybrids, but with more of a berry flavor in a good way. The texture is similar to a grape-like texture as people report. Really delicious. Top quality fruit. Wow. Very gorgeous. Now I'm sure the flavors are going to develop as the plant matures, but I definitely think that this one is one worthy of growing and keeping. Absolutely delicious. Pretty looking fruit and excellent flavor. Now this specific one, I'd give an 8 out of 10, but I know next season it's going to produce something even better. So there you go. Donovan's Laverne Red, really wonderful, beautiful fruit. And it's most likely a Guatemalensis crossed with an Undatus, but we're not sure. Beautiful fruit, top quality, tastes of similar to Purple Haze and Dark Star in my opinion, but with more of a berry flavor. Texture is very similar to one of the Paul Thompson hybrids. So there you go. Give us a like and a subscribe. Thanks for your time. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Take care.